everything would change. Again.
And some of those changes may be shite, and we may make the same mistakes again. It won't be perfect. It'll be a long sight better than what we got now.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my Justice League Dark Apokolips War movie video. A lot of you requested I make a video for this. Probably one of the best animated movies that DC has ever done. It's also the last DC animated movie as part of this line of continuity, so I'll explain how that works with all the Easter eggs and what was going on with that ending. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're doing a giveaway for copies of the Blu-ray for the movie. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the movie on the video. Obviously, careful for spoilers if you have not seen the movie yet. There's a lot of Easter eggs here, so I'll number these as we go along, but a lot of you may have also noticed that the plot of this animated movie is based on the canceled plans for the original live-action Justice League trilogy that Zack Snyder was doing. I'll explain that during the video too. So we'll just start at the beginning and work our way through. The movie itself is kind of like DC Animation's version of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame wrapped up into the same movie. You probably saw a lot of similarities with the plot of Infinity War, the snap, and then Endgame with all the time travel. The reason why they started with the quote from the Flashpoint movie is made clear in the ending scene with that tag from Constantine where he says, okay, we can change some things are going to be worse in the new timeline, some things will be better, but we understand that. When I say this is the last movie, though, in this line of continuity, it all started with Justice League War, the Flashpoint movie, which they reference a couple times during this movie. The Flash says, I know you don't all believe me about the Flashpoint event that I told you a while ago. But DC makes a lot of animated movies. They'll continue to make a lot of animated movies. It's just not all of them will be connected to these movies. There have been a certain line of movies that have been connected to each other, if you didn't notice. Like the last movie before this that sort of connects with things was The Reign of the Supermen. But this picks up in the events right after that post-credit scene from The Reign of the Supermen, with Superman telling the Justice League that after Darkseid's multiple failed attempts to conquer Earth, starting with Justice League War and more recently during Reign of the Supermen, Darkseid was behind the Hank Henshaw plot. They changed the plot from the comic book Reign of the Supermen a little bit. Superman tells them they need to go to Apokolips to defeat Darkseid on his home turf rather than waiting for him to come attack Earth again. What they don't realize, though, is that Darkseid has secretly been using the mother box tech that Cyborg is made of to spy on them. So he knows they're coming, he's prepared, he's hybridized his parademons using Doomsday's DNA to make super parademons that he calls Paradooms. And I love the way they open the movie with them flying through the boom tube that Cyborg has created with his boo-yah, but then they cut to 2 years later, and everything has just gone to complete shit. Later in the movie, they sort of give you flashbacks explaining what happened to all the heroes, how things went so terrible. The Justice League got their asses handed to them by Darkseid because he knew they were coming. He injected Superman with liquid kryptonite, stripping him of his powers, bonding to his DNA so that it wouldn't just burn out of his system quickly. He dismantles Cyborg, replacing his mother box tech with Apokoliptian father box tech, fully taking control of him, effectively turning him into a hardcore security system. He mind controls Batman, forces him to become his servant, and gives him the Mobius chair to fly around doing his bidding. He turns Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Hawkman, Mira, and Starfire into cyborgs, making them his new mechanized Furies. The only reason Lex Luthor survives is because he agrees to be their pawn on Earth, their representative of the New Gods, reporting to the mind-controlled Batman and Darkseid, because Darkseid is basically going to mine Earth for all of its resources. Most of the other heroes get killed, including Zatanna, who's important for Constantine's storyline. Remember, this is Justice League Dark Apokolips War, but this is basically a crossover of a bunch of different franchises. Justice League Dark, because of the Constantine the Magic-based stuff, the regular Justice League stuff, Teen Titans because of all the Damian Wayne, Raven stuff, and then you also have the Suicide Squad team with them later. Zatanna gets killed by the Paradooms, Constantine flees back to planet Earth, feeling completely guilty, feeling like he abandoned everyone, abandoned her. Later, he finds out that's not actually true. The reason why he fled back to Earth had something to do with Zatanna that I'll explain in a second. But 2 years go by, Darkseid has fully conquered the planet, everything has gone to complete crap. The surviving Justice League and Teen Titans characters team up with the Suicide Squad who survived, Amanda Waller, she died off. They want to go back to Apokolips to kill Darkseid once and for all. But when they arrive, Darkseid is still off-planet trying to conquer Oa, the home of the Green Lantern Corps, because this is all about conquering the entire universe. Remember, we're talking Thanos-level, Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. They're met by Darkseid's Justice League Furies that have been turned into cyborgs, but they're able to free Wonder Woman from his mind control using the Lasso of Truth, and then slowly start to free the other heroes from his control. They find out what happened to the Flash. Darkseid has been keeping him trapped on an apocalyptic version of the cosmic treadmill, using him as a generator to power the entire planet. They free him, Cyborg frees the rest of the Justice League hybrid Furies from their mind control, and then they're forced to release Trigon from his magical prison that Darkseid's put him in order to ultimately defeat Darkseid. But this isn't the end of things going completely off the rails. Because Constantine is trying to make amends for what he feels like was his failure during their first big fight, he offers himself as Trigon's host, because in order for Trigon to exist in our reality, he has to have a host body. Normally that would be Raven's sacrifice to make, but Constantine is like, no, it'll be me. Trigon, however, decides to inhabit Superman's body, who's still consumed with the kryptonite blood, so he doesn't have his powers, but now he's a hybrid version of Trigon Superman. He instantly revenge kills Constantine because Trigon hates Constantine. Then while he's in the afterlife, Constantine learns from the dead Zatanna's spirit that she actually used her magic 2 years ago in order to force him to run away from the battle as part of Batman's grand contingency plan. Because of course Batman would have a contingency plan knowing that they might lose and it would lead to some darkest timeline. You find out back on Earth, Lois Lane is part of an underground fight club with Harley Quinn and the rest of the Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn has taken over leadership of the Suicide Squad because Amanda Waller has died. Lois and the Suicide Squad sacrifice themselves to destroy all the Paradooms and the boom tube that Lex Luthor has been controlling. Watching her die is what frees Superman from Trigon's control. He's able to expel his spirit from his body, and because he'd been possessed with the power of Trigon, once he separates from his spirit, the kryptonite in his system has been burned off, so he gets his powers back finally. He manages to fight Darkseid to a standstill, keeping him busy, but he's still not powerful enough. That's when they unleash Trigon on him, and they battle it out for supremacy of the universe. While the two gods, effectively, are beating the cosmic crap out of each other, Cyborg boom tubes everyone back to Earth and then sacrifices himself by creating an artificial black hole that sucks everything, the entire planet of Apokolips, along with Darkseid, Trigon, and himself into it, implying that they're taken care of for a long time. As cool as this scene is, a black hole is not powerful enough to kill Trigon or Darkseid. It would keep them busy for a long time, trapped, but Cyborg is definitely dead. Back on Earth, the surviving heroes lick their wounds and decide that in order to fix everything, this darkest timeline, per Batman's contingency plan, they need the Flash to create another Flashpoint, going back in time to change the past and warn the Justice League of the past, giving them maybe a chance of fighting Darkseid, or a better chance at least. The closing scene they end on is meant to be a mirror for the Flashpoint scene where he goes back in time to change everything. They have to talk him into it a little bit because when he created Flashpoint the first time, it just turned everything into complete shit. So he says, I'm never going to do this again. So they really do have to massage him just a little bit in order to convince him that no, anything that you create will be better than this. But Constantine's speech sort of brings things back around to the beginning of the movie in that Flashpoint quote. So the quote itself from Flashpoint was actually something that Barry's mother told him when he had to understand that he couldn't save her. She was destined to die. It was a fixed point in time. Accept the things you cannot change, have the courage to change the things that you can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. The heroes in The Flash, by the end of the movie, understand that this new Flashpoint they're creating will be able to change some things for the better, but not others. Some things for better, some things for worse, and they just understand they won't be able to fix everything, but they can fix most things, so they're going to take a chance and roll the dice on it. I feel like it was an amazing animated DC movie. DC generally does solid animation work, but in terms of just capping off this line of continuity, it felt like a really good version of Avengers Endgame with the DC characters. But here's the thing, like I said, the plot of this movie follows a lot of what their original plans were for Zack Snyder's Justice League trilogy when they were still doing a Justice League trilogy. What was going to happen is that in the first Justice League movie, events were relatively similar, some of the characters were changed just a little bit, but at the end of the movie, when Steppenwolf is defeated and gets sucked back to Apokolips through the boom tube, Darkseid was going to appear to them at the end of the other boom tube. They would see a vision of him, so it would be the teaser that they would fight him in the next movie. Then in Justice League 2, the Justice League was going to go to Apokolips to destroy him, just like they do in the animated movie. They lose hard, just like they do in the animated movie. Then Darkseid comes back to planet Earth conquering it. Doesn't this all sound familiar after you watch the animated movie? That would have created the future that you see in Batman's nightmare scene from Batman v Superman. That comes to pass. Then in Justice League 3, the final movie in the trilogy, that would have been their Avengers Endgame. They send the Flash back in time to warn Batman in a slightly different way than they had done the first time, warning him to save Lois successfully so that he can prevent Superman from being enslaved by the anti-life equation. Obviously that works because it's the final movie in the trilogy. They're able to defeat Darkseid before this nightmare vision future can come to pass, creating a new timeline. They would have already introduced Hal Jordan within the Justice League trilogy in the Green Lantern Corps, so there would have been a giant space battle going on too in this, just like the ending of Avengers Endgame with that giant Avengers Assemble moment. But as you can see, it would have played out very similarly to Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, making everybody compare Justice League to Marvel, and even though it sounds like a really cool trilogy of movies, it would have been a little bit awkward with the timing. So I think a lot of the inspiration for this movie came from that canceled plans of that trilogy. They've been working on this movie for a couple of years now, so it's not like they copied Avengers Endgame or anything like that. It took them a couple years to make this, so it was in the works for a long time. Everyone let me know in the comments though, what did you think of the movie and what is your favorite DC animated movie so far? Superman Red Sun was actually pretty good too, but like I said, it's not connected to this Justice League continuity of animated movies. There's a bunch of stuff that happened this week. The Flash finale is next week. There's a whole bunch of animated stuff that just happened too. We had our Clone Wars finale. Everyone click here for my Clone Wars finale video, last episode ever, and click here for my Flash finale trailer video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.